This is a realistic version of the infernal affairs. A masked man with a pistol walked to the counter, asked the teller to fill the bag with cash. Just a minute. Then quietly left with $10,000. Half an hour later, the captain of the local police station quickly arrived at the scene and promised to solve the case as soon as possible. No one knew that the sheriff was the robber himself, and the props used in disguise during the robbery were placed on the backseat of his car. No one at the scene suspected the police officer. Even more incredible is that this is only the beginning of his criminal career. In the following 3 years, he has carried out robberies on 28 banks. He will deliberately leave misleading traces at the scene, assign subordinates to track down false suspects every time after success. He will be personally responsible for the investigation of the case, and even in front of the face of the portraitist depicts his appearance. The person who played the entire law enforcement system in South Africa with applause was named Andre Stander. He used to be the most dazzling rising star in the South African police force. In 1963, he graduated from the police academy with the first grade in the school and was promoted to captain. At the age of 25, he became one of the youngest police commanders in South African history. In the late 1970s, he was in Johannesburg, specializing in the investigation of robbery cases. He personally formulated the local and most of the police operating norms. At the end of 1977, Stander showed the team members that after the morning's work tasks, he glanced at his watch and informed them that he was going out for dinner. No one doubted this rigorous supervisor, but he did not go to the restaurant, but drove straight to the airport, boarded the plane. In the bathroom of the plane, he took the cheap fake prepared in advance, hair and beard, completed the identity of the conversion. 1:15 p.m., he walked into a bank in Durban, took out his carrying a police pistol, softly informed the presence of this is a robbery. The whole process is easy and natural. Without the slightest panic, 4 minutes later, he left the scene with 15,000 yuan in cash, quickly changed back to casual clothes, rushed to the airport. 3 p.m., Stander took a takeaway and hurriedly walked back to the police station. This is his original mode of operation. Since then, he has continued to improve this process, making it reach a near-perfect level. He specifically selected remote banks as the target, the crime, the time arranged in the subordinates, the regular meeting time, even deliberately set the work meeting at 1 p.m. to ensure that the entire team is confined to the meeting room, unable to get away every time a robbery is carried out. Police guns are used once encountered on the road patrol, police interrogation. Just show the badge can pass smoothly whenever there is a radio alarm of a robbery. Stander is always the first to go to the scene. He will ask witnesses for various details and then seriously analyze the perpetrator to his colleagues. Criminal, calm and efficient, very familiar with all police procedures, probably with a military background, and lies will always be exposed one day. A young police officer, in sorting out the case file, found that during the time period when many cases were closed, Stander's whereabouts could not be confirmed with certainty. Sometimes he claimed going out to eat, sometimes it means visiting sick relatives, and every time he can be the first to arrive at the crime scene. In the early morning of May 6, 1980, the police knocked on Stander's home. He did not make any resistance, calmly raised his hands. After investigation in the past 3 years, Stander alone planned and carried out at least 28 robberies, involving a total amount of nearly 100,000 yuan. Once the vigilant elite became a bank robber, caused a sensation throughout South Africa. On the court, Stander did not blame his actions, but put forward an unexpected defense. He claimed that in 1976 an operation had been ordered to shoot unarmed protesters. This experience made him completely lost to the system at that time, confidence. Robbing a bank was his way of resisting this injustice and system, but colleagues pointed out that his work record could not prove that he had appeared at the scene of the incident at all. Eventually, Stander was sentenced to 75 years in prison and executed for 17 years. He was sent to South Africa's highest security zone, Dewater Prison, to serve his sentence. But the prison's high power did not trap him, but provided him with the opportunity to form a team. Stander soon met 2 cellmates in prison. One was a hot and ruthless professional robber, Patrick McCall, and the other was a close-minded and experienced former mercenary, Alan Hale. Stander taught the 2 police tactics and counter-investigation skills. 2 shared their respective crimes experience. A well-organized criminal gang was formed. In order to implement the prison escape plan, Stander pretended to suffer from a serious back disease. For half a year, he pretended to limp. On August 11, 1983, he and McCall were taken to the prison's physiotherapy center for treatment. The moment the physiotherapist turned around, Stander pretended to have a sudden attack and quickly overpowered a guard. McCall controlled another guard at the same time. The two grabbed a car and successfully escaped. 6 weeks later, Hale also escaped from prison, according to the pre-agreed plan. The three reunited outside. In the next 5 months, the gang set off the most insane bank robbery wave in South African history, with a total of 20 crimes. Will was responsible for the early goals, screening and point work. McCall is responsible for controlling the situation at the scene. And Stander is specifically responsible for negotiating with Longhorn. They rob with exaggerated disguises and occasionally make jokes during the process. They are also very polite to the hostages. They will leave some cash as a tip when they leave. They have become well-known public figures. Every piece of news about their robbery in the newspapers has been passed around by people. Finally, the South African government couldn't bear it anymore and directly issued a limited time arrest order. It dispatched special forces to launch a nationwide search. In the early morning of January 30th, 1984, the police raided the hiding place of the Stander gang. McCall resisted stubbornly alone and was eventually shot to death. Hale fled to the UK while taking advantage of the chaos. Only Stander, early to go out to apply for a passport, once again narrowly escaped. Cornered Stander made a bolder decision. He planned to flee to the United States, stole a police uniform, pretended to be a police officer from the police-impounded parking lot, drove away his confiscated car, forged a passport, smuggled to Florida, where he rented a seaside apartment and spent a few weeks of quiet life. One night in February 1984, Stander ran a red light while driving and was stopped by a patrol police officer. He pretended to be calm and took out a forged driver's license. After getting the ticket, he drove away, thinking it was just an ordinary traffic violation. But his strong foreign accent, and on February 13th, 1984, Stander, on the 14th day of his arrival in the United States, the police found him riding a bicycle in a residential area. Stander tried his best to escape and was eventually blocked in a narrow alley. Just as the police were about to arrest him, he suddenly jumped on the patrol car. The gun was in a panic. The young patrol officer fired 3 shots in a row. Stander fell into a pool of blood and died on the spot. He was only 37 years old. The legendary figure who once played with the entire South African police force did not die under the gun of the special forces, nor did he usher in a final showdown with a bang and bang, but because of a trivial red light at the hands of an ordinary patrol officer in a small American town.